Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. The Andy Griffith Show has to be one of the greatest TV shows in American television history. I've watched the series several times over the years, and one thing I've always wondered about was why it seems like we never hear about Opie's mother. For those unfamiliar with the Andy Griffith Show, it follows widower and town sheriff Andy Taylor, played by Andy Griffith, and his son Opie, played by the very young Ron Howard. Also in the cast is the legendary Don Knotts, who plays Sheriff Taylor's able deputy. Living with Andy is his Aunt Bee, who manages Andy's household and becomes Opie's surrogate mother and grandmother. And as you watch the show, it sure seems like Andy might be looking for a new wife who can take on the role of Opie's mother. In the first season, that role was played by Eleanor Donahue of Father Knows Best fame. She played Ellie Walker, the town's pharmacist. In the third season, he dated Peggy McMillan, the town's nurse, played by Joanna Moore. Ultimately, though, this relationship fizzles when Andy learns about her privileged upbringing. And while Sheriff Taylor rarely talks about his past on the show, we do get a chance to meet one of his high school girlfriends, Sharon Despain, played by Peggy McKay. Now, unfortunately, things just aren't meant to be for these two as she moves back to Chicago to pursue what she sees as greater opportunities for her career. And of course, there's Helen Crump, Opie's schoolteacher. Andy meets Helen in the third season, and they end up dating all the way through the series' final show, and are ultimately married in the spinoff, Mayberry RFD. But again, why don't we ever hear Andy talk about his deceased wife throughout the show? Who was Opie's mother, and what the heck happened to her? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, I haven't been able to find any reference to Opie's mom during the run of the Andy Griffith Show. With that said, I recently learned that the characters of Sheriff Taylor and his son Opie actually first appeared in an episode from the 7th season of The Danny Thomas Show, titled Danny Meets Andy Griffith. And it's in that episode that the only reference to Opie's mother is made. Here is that scene.
And we have to learn to live with our sorrows, boy. I learned that when you was just a little bitty speck of a baby. When I lost your ma.
So there you go. Andy lost Opie's mom when Opie was the least little speck of a baby. Now, I always found it a bit strange that Andy's former wife and the mother of his son was never mentioned on the show, but I'm guessing that Andy Griffith had his reasons for that. Regardless, as mentioned earlier, Andy's aunt moves in to live with him in the first episode, and she plays a big role in Opie's life. Now, I always loved the Andy Griffith Show, and I still watch it whenever I see it on TV. Andy Griffith and Ron Howard were so great in this show, and of course, Don Knotts was an absolute comedic genius. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to reading your comments. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, where I talk about the movies, music, and TV shows that I watched while growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and have a great day.